He say diamond?
Yeah, he said diamond.
I thought I thought I'd heard wrong.
Yeah, no. Sorry. You heard it. You heard it right. I know. We all got quiet for the right reasons.
Hello and welcome back to the Marvel Snapcast podcast. I'm your host, Ken, aka the SuperTechGod. I'm here with, of course, your co-host, starting with
the top 5 best snappers in the world. Sino. Cause I snapped that hot fire, you heard? And we all rep that power on all day. What's going on?
It's going good. How you been, man? Everything good with you?
Good.
You got different energy today. Okay, I love that. I think I saw you streaming earlier, so I figured that earlier stream, you know what I mean, gives you some
I'm getting with it. I'm out here cooking, I'm streaming, I'm doing things. Yeah.
Look at that. I love it. Of course, and our other co-host, the one and only
Mr. Epic Sax Party, according to the one and only, the man who puts the G in STG. The SuperTechGod. What's going on?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Guest. That's Ken. That's Sino. And there's been a bunch of changes, right?
Oh, yeah. Huge changes. Plenty. All right, we're going to get right into it, guys. We got a long episode for you guys. We're going to try to make it short and sweet. But of course, we'll kick off with today's OTA. And we're going to start with the one at the top, the most surprising, the most exciting, Zabu. Ladies and gentlemen, Zabu was a 2/3 on reveal. Until the end of next turn, your 4-cost cards cost 1 less. Before that, he was an ongoing card. I mean, all your 4-cost card 2 costs, right? In the very beginning, which was the most broken
crazy
and most fun thing ever. He got nerfed where he became ongoing, brought him down 1 cost, but it was still an ongoing card. And now he is a 1/2, which is awesome. Great. He's a 1 cost now. Mm-hmm. On reveal, give each of your 4-cost cards in your deck now -1 cost. So this means you could play him with Grandmaster, you can play him on Wong, and your 4-cost cards can go down as low as 0, depending how many times you proc Zabu. I like the change. I'm happy for it. We all prefer to activate, but I guess based on their testing, activate wasn't going to be the best thing for him. So turning that dial down and bringing him down to a 1/2 and only giving that buff to the cards in your deck. It's very intriguing. I would have preferred all 4-cost cards wherever they were, but I guess that would also be too broken. So, nonetheless, I'm happy with this change. Guess how you feel about it?
You hit on a very specific note right at the end there that I think is the reason they did it the way they did it, which is it has to hit the deck only. Because if it also hit your hand, I mean, that would be a better version than the one that released, in my opinion, because you could proc it multiple times rather than just have it be ongoing and always at, 3, no matter when. But then, like you said, you could put it down on Wong on turn 5. And I mean, absolute craziness could ensue. So keeping it at 1 cost, and they acknowledged I like the synergy that they put with Shauna. So now it's another card that can come out of the pop out from Shauna. So it could be a random surprise buff to your deck if you run a Zoo deck. But I think that there's going to require some testing with this new version, because this is another card that the later you play it in the game, the more its value drops. Very similar to like Agent Venom, where you want to obviously slam that down on turn 2. If you have Zabu in your opening hand, you want to slam down Zabu more often than not on turn 1. So I'm curious how this is going to feel in a deck that maybe leans very heavy into those 4 costs in the hope of potentially getting Zabu that way. So there's 2 things that I think are going to be great for this. One, I think is going to be great for Zoo in general. I think Zoo's going to really benefit from this. And the other one I don't want to mention because it's going to bring more consistency to the deck. And it sucks because when it's good, it's not a good thing for everybody. And that's negative.
Yep. I said this. Oh man, I said that today. Yep.
You did?
I mean, I think it's safe to say we all felt that way. Negative was like the first card that came to my mind.
When you play this, now
it was like this.
Yeah. That's scary.
Yeah. Yep. 100%. See, how you feel about the card to change?
A lot of people I was streaming earlier. A lot of people in my chat were saying this saying, and I'm like, I kind of agree with it. The cat is back. I like Zabu like this. I think it brought the flair back to Zabu. Like we were saying, we wanted to activate. I think this is better than activate, in my opinion. You know what I mean? I can do more with an on reveal ability than I can with it being just activate. You know what I mean? Now I can freak it with Karmatage. I can do Wong. I can, you know what I mean? It works and with Misery, correct? Now, if I Misery, it will proc again, correct?
Right. Yeah.
It's on reveal.
Okay, cool. All right, yeah. So it will proc again. See, it works with Misery, works with Symbiote Spider-Man. There's ways you can double up on it. Like Guest said, though, you want to get that Zabu out early, because it affects the deck. Now you need time to draw cards. Like RNG has to be on your side at the same time. So there is a downside to it. It's not just all up. There is a risk of not getting the cards you need, depending on what type of deck you play and how you play it. You know what I mean? So you have to be able to draw these cards. So playing Zabu late, like Guess said, the value goes way down. So what you want to do is get Zabu out early, find ways to either copy it or, you know what I mean? Or just find ways to reproc it or just whatever you can do. But Zabu early is the key. And I'm a big fan of Zabu now. I'm definitely going to start putting it in decks again. I think it goes in every deck again.
How about to ask you that? Do we feel that Zabu is just the one cost now you put in every deck?
No.
It's tough, right? Because there's some decks that don't have 4 costs. So you don't
That's true. That's true. You make a great point. I stand corrected. You're right. Yeah. But more often than not, you're going to see a Zabu. You know what I mean? People now that people used to shy away from the 4 costs, but now I think that we're going to start seeing a lot more 4 costs being, spread out on that field at a reduction. Because if you add Sarah to this, it's just like it could get ridiculous.
I wonder if that overrides.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It says -1 cost. So if you have this, if you have the full combination, we'll call it
3 costs now.
If you get that 4 cost dropped, like technically it could actually drop to 0.
0. Yes. With Zabu. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I like. See, this is interesting. I can't wait. Like you said, I can't wait to test out all these little things we can do.
Yeah. Yeah. Does this also bring meaning to Black Swan?
Why?
Yeah, nobody reacted, so I guess it doesn't.
No. I want to hear what your reason is why first.
You have a 0/2 Zabu, and now you can play that on the next turn, and then especially if you're playing with Wong, right? So if you play Black Swan early, I forgot what cost she is now. You activate her. She's 2. She play on 2. You activate her on 3. You can play Wong and Zabu at the same time now, right? Because Zabu is a 0 versus having to play Wong on 4, Zabu on Wong on 5.
I guess the only thing I see with that is even if you are doing that, you only get 2 draws from that moment on to pull a 4 drop that's benefiting from that double reduction. I don't Maybe know if that amount of work is worth it, but there's probably something buried, around within there, like putting Zabu down, and then you eventually top deck Wong over the next 2 turns, and then you can reproc somehow. I don't know. There's got to be something.
Grandmaster. I did that today with Grandmaster.
Do a Grandmaster into the lane.
Wong, right. Put him onto Wong. Put Wong in the middle, and I Grandmastered over to Wong. I got Shuri. I got Shuri at a cheap cost. I played War Machine and Shuri, right? Then I played Infinite on the Wong with Shuri, and he became an 80 power. Then I played Taskmaster on turn 7.
That was
the best thing ever.
That is screenshots. That is so mean.
My first test. That's exact. Everything was smooth. I had Magic play. I had Wong. I had Grandmaster. Everything was perfect in that first time testing with it. It was bananas. I don't think that
the only thing is with that, because I know exactly. I used to run Shuri, not where I used to do that, but you need Magic to play, right? You need that turn
100%.
7.
Magic was definitely
that turn 7.
Yeah, but being
do you now?
War Machine
wait, not that War Machine exactly. You don't even need that turn 7 really. Do you?
You do, because
you need Hope Summers on 3, War Machine on.
No. But you're thinking. I'm thinking my Taskmaster is a 6 cost.
That's true. You got to get Shuri out. Yeah. You're right. You still need that.
No, with Zabu, you're fine, right? Because they're cheap, so you get to play Shuri and War Machine on the same turn, right? So War Machine first, then Shuri, right? Infinite on 6, okay? Because that's the only time you can play Infinite. The 6 cost anyway. Infinite on 6, Taskmaster on 7. So, but we're stuck on Zabu. We had to talk about it. Why not? All right, Hellcow was the next card to get adjusted. I can't say the T word here. It went from a 4/6 to a 4/7, and now it discards one card. Now, if you guys were here when me and Guess and Goz was talking about it, this is what Guess brought up initially. Hey, if they buff Hellcow and power, but he don't discard one card, would be great. Then last week, Guess brought up this whole thing about putting all the cards in one lane with Hela to nerf her. And I said, no, I prefer your first thought, which was only allow Hellcow to discard one card, because that would fix Hela. Sure enough, as we all know, Second Dinner listens to the podcast. And look what happened. Exactly what we spoke about has come to pass. Now Hellcow only discards one card. Now, we all spoke about this last week again. Does this still make Hellcow a great card? And me and Guess both said yes. Sino said no. This is still a great card. We're just hoping that people see this and go, Hela's dead. That's what we're hoping for. Yeah. But if you still play Hela right now, you still have a chance to win with this change. Like, now you just got to discard more cards earlier, right? Now you might not need
more cards to discard. Yeah, one more high powered.
Right. You Walker Swordmaster now. Forget Blink, right? Like, these are the things that you just need to worry about so that you can get an extra discard out before Hellcow activate. Nonetheless, I'm happy they made this change, and it did not touch Hela again for the third time. And I hope this does deter some people from playing it, and we get more fun back in the meta. Guess, what's your take?
You ever go to a bar and you see someone down at the very far end of the bar? It's a really old man. He's sitting there. He's talking with the bartender. He knows the owner. Yeah. He's been going there for like 20, 30 years.
Yeah, he's a regular.
He's a regular, right? But you look around at the bar and it's an absolute hellhole. It's decrepit. It's falling apart. There's bullet holes in the window. There's there's a whole bunch of problems. It's just a really, really awful, decrepit bar. Yeah, and you're just desperate to grab a drink of water. You walk in, you see that old guy at the end of the bar, and you ask him, "Why here, of all places?" And his response is, "I've been going here forever." And he's just used to it, right?
Right.
He's like it's home.
Yeah, that's a Hela player. No matter what happens to the Hela deck, no matter what they do, it is still not enough to deter them from saying, I don't want to play this deck. Take away one of my big cards. Okay, I'm still going here. I still know the lines. I still know everybody who works here. I know all the attendees. Sure, he got a haircut, but you know what? That's fine. I'm still going here 30 years later.
There was a time before Hellcow, right? So there are ways of playing this that we did before this. So it's possible, right? It's not like it's going to defer us from playing this. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, you say us. Continue on. I want to hear your thoughts on
it. Yeah, that was your take. Yeah, exactly. Please.
I do enjoy playing Hela. I do. But yeah, like Tech was saying though, it's like when I saw this, I was like, first I was like, shit, like that sucks. I love the Hellcow discarding 2 cards that I can control. But then I was like, okay, just gotta discard one more high powered card. That's it. Just find a way to get that one high power card discarded in the early rounds, and I'll be just fine. No problems. And then I still can go about my strategy the same way. So I don't think Hela took too much of a hit with Hellcow being changed. Yeah, it sucks. And yeah, it's a little harder now. So I think that was the whole point. Just to slow Hela down a little bit. Like, yo, all right, chill. Like, it's too much. Like you're killing them. So let's slow you down a little bit. Let's take you down. Now nobody can complain as much. Hela already is RNG based as it is, right? Like so she could put the cards in a bunch of places you don't need them in.
Right.
So it's like this might take it down a notch to where people won't be playing it as much. It won't be complained about as much. I can get some sleep over there. Second Dinner headquarters. That's what they're saying. They don't want the complaining anymore. Is it going to stop the complaining? No, because people are still going to run it. You just got to find a way to get that one more high powered card discarded. And then we've been doing this before Hellcow was like this. We've been playing Hela, and there's been 80 different versions and 80 different ways to do it. So it's not going to stop people from doing it now.
Yeah, I just think this is a way more accurate way to play Hela, a better way to play Hela. I mean, if you wanted to take Hellcow out the picture and go back and put in MODOK, right? Invisible Woman or
MODOK,
anything else you want to do. But the problem with MODOK is you can't have Blink in the deck, right? You can't have
Corvus
Jubilee in the deck, right? Yeah, I'm saying you're going to have to go back to
Corvus.
You have to go back to where Hela should be played, which is more of a gamble, right?
Yeah.
Corvus is in there. You got Hela on. All right, you know what? Let's go for it. And if we hit Hela, we retreat. If we don't, that's the way Hela should be played.
Sucks for APOC though. APOC was so good with the Hellcow at the end.
I still think think that's fine. You don't need that much disc. I think
Morbius get the buff.
Yeah, it's still a 4 that drops at that, another 4 power, I should say, that goes onto him at the very end of the game. But I think what I think is going to end up emerging, if I had to guess, what I think is going to end up emerging is revisiting the versions of Iron Man Silver Samurai. Yeah. Because it's the most amount of power for the same play line, Sif or Luke Cage on 3. And then either one of those two, you put down either Hellcow on 4 or you use the Silver Samurai on 4, repeat the same process on turn 5, and then you do the activate and Hela on turn 6. So I think there's something along those lines. Corvus, I think, does make a resurgence as well because you're going to need that extra piece. So it will feed the RNG a bit, and maybe it does drop it down. But I'm not as optimistic on the fact that it'll drop its play rate as much as Second Dinner wants it to drop.
Maybe we see a little more Super Giant too. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, that was a fun version. Yeah.
We'll find out. Next, of course, we have Widow's Kiss from White Widow gets a buff nerf where she goes up to -4. But now, when that lane is full, the card gets destroyed. This hurts a lot of things, especially people who are playing null, because that guarantees a -4 null to start. This also deter all that clogging, because clogging was the worst thing to play against. I despised it. But I got to infinite with it. So I'm not going to talk about it right now. I'm glad I got to infinite with it last night. Yeah. Nonetheless, I think this is a great change. I think it needed to happen because Clog was such a same thing with mill decks, right? So I'm happy they did this. Get that -4 out the lane. I get something rewarded for filling up that lane. So I'm happy for this change. Guess how you feel about it?
I mainly just knocks White Widow off of the top of the pedestal. She had very clearly taken over Jeff the Babyland Shark's positioning in the best 2-drop category. And now the Shark is back as the best option for the most part, because there's gonna be cool synergies. They shouted out the Red Guardian one in the announcement of being able to make that a guaranteed -6. If you go 2 into 3, it's a good amount of power, for one individual lane to secure that in that lane as long as it survives. But in every other build, this is a huge nerf to the card, And we are going to see a rise in Red Guardians because of it, because people are going to try it and they're going to make it happen for a while. So if you're running a whole bunch of your Madam Web decks, you might want to back away for a little bit. I overall think that this is healthier for the game, but it was on the cusp of being fine, but it was just over that cusp. And they used it as one of the 2 ways that they could attack Clog, because it's one of the easiest ways to not only attack Clog, but to really kind of attack a couple of random different things at once and create a new synergy within this by having that auto destroy once it's full. So kind of cool things we can mess with it. That now, like, there's probably going to be some really cool cheeky decks and combinations that we figure out. So like, I'm curious if revealed or unrevealed has an effect on it. I think that would be very interesting to look at, like sending that vipering over Invisible Woman and then firing that off. Does it actually destroy? Yes, no. Like there's a lot of cool things that I want to test with this card because I want it to still be good. But I just think cut its value in half.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, especially playing with Misery like I was last night to climb. Getting 2 of those Widow's Kisses in that lane, and I'm like, I don't care if you put your 2 cards there.
So
you got
bad.
2 zeros. You understand? But
so
now
bad, yeah.
In a Camartage,
right,
it was the best.
Bar Sinister,
right?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing but
so
zeros, good. Right? But now it destroys, so it's tricky. All right, Sino, how you feel about it?
Massive blow to the card. I think, like Guess said, if not half, maybe a little bit, like 3/4. I don't know. Like it took so much appeal away from White Widow. It's that's the part that gets me, because I knew what it was and how essential it was to Clog. Like, and I just feel like any control aspect we have to this game gets complained about so much that it starts to get changed. We start to like, maybe not. We start winging it in a different direction. So that I'm not a huge fan over. Like, I feel like if that's the case, we could cry about everything, and eventually everything will be changed. But like, no, but I'm just saying now it isn't as bad. Like, if you can find a ways to strategically place these cards, like if you get it somewhere where they can't fill the location, it's a really great card. Having that -4 in that lane is really good.
You know what? Does it blow up on the location that's only
Space
one
Throne?
card?
Yes.
Yes,
Space
it does blow up on space. Get out of here.
For the same reason that Dazzler gets a buff.
Because it's full
That
location.
sucks.
Exactly.
Yes.
Right. Not
So
4
Death's
cards in a
Domain-
location, full in a location.
Right, full. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Death's Domain is the best place, and
So if you want to save it, if you want to save it, start running your armor, or armor. Run armor with your Widow's Kiss. It'll save it. But it is still an okay card if you can strategically get that Widow's Kiss to stay there. Now I've been running it with Misery. Like Ken was saying, like getting the 2 Widow's Kisses on the other side. I have noticed that even though one gets destroyed, it in a late round like that, if they don't fill the location, even in those 2 turns,
the second one stays.
You can still keep. Yes, exactly.
After they both get destroyed.
No, they have to keep filling it. As if they don't fill it, it doesn't get destroyed.
With Misery, then.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So
it's like the old White Widow in that sense, where the second one card leaves, the ongoing reactivates. So you would see it in like Clintar, for example. If you ever watch a symbiote eat it in a certain order, or even just Carnage eating it in a certain order, sometimes the negative would affect, sometimes it wouldn't. That makes total sense. And the double procking of it is an interesting thing to still kind of work with.
Yeah. It still saves you a little bit. So so it has some positives. It just, the negatives are a little bit outweighing it. So still an okay card. It's just super bummer.
Yeah.
You got to run armor with it. Make it be better. It's interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go on to the next card. This card now got a nerf. It needed a nerf. She was doing big things with the hood. And also I seen something awesome in the Women Tournament of Power where they Viper over the Electro. Best thing ever. Viper really needed to get this nerf. She is now a 3/4. And I must say, I don't think this is a problem. I don't think people are going to stop playing Viper because of it. But like we said earlier, Second Dinner likes to turn down certain things to deter people. But yeah.
There's an attack on
3/5. 3/5 was a flawless stat. 3/4 is a great stat. So it's like, what am I? I'm still playing Viper, right? If I played Viper before, I'm still playing Viper. So to me, this change needed to happen, but I don't see it as a big problem. Guess what about you?
You got to remember, Viper's been on a journey. Viper was good and then bad and then good and then bad, and they've took the ability and just Viper over something random at 3/5, and then it was not good enough, so then they fixed the ability again a second time and said, well, okay, instead of it being a 2 cost that does this, now it'll be a 3/5, but it's gonna definitely target the lowest cost. Wait, what? So now it's a guaranteed like 3/8 because you're swinging over a hood. Okay, it was always a good decision to play. It's just a really straightforward, great card. Right. This doesn't deter you from playing it, but affects the board state, because I'm surprised that they didn't put 3/4 as the stat line when they implemented the change
First, right.
for it to be the lowest cost card in the lane anyway.
Right,
so
correct.
this was
yeah.
This was expected at some point. We all just forgot that it was probably expected at some point.
Right. Sino, what about you?
I don't think the 3/4 matters much. I think you were playing Viper for that hood tech or just sending over one of those lowest power cards. When they changed it to lowest power cards, I think is when it got cracked. I think that's when, because when she was very balanced when it could send any card over, and then you were like leery of the type of shit you did. You know what I mean? If you had multiple cards in there, it was like a 50-50 shot with hood. You'd be like, I'm praying, or you have the rock and the hood in the same, and you're just like, I don't care what goes over, as I'm hoping it's the hood, but if it's the rock, it's the rock. I don't give a shit. But like you had to be be very careful in how you did that, right? Now it's very the RNG's out, so now it's like controlled. So it's like, okay, send over the lowest. All right, so now I have no problems with putting Viper wherever the hell I feel, as long as the lowest power card goes over there, right? So nobody was playing Viper it was a very great thing to have, like you said, flawless, to have that 3/5. Have her at a 3/5 is really good.
Yeah,
but to have her at a 3/4 isn't like I'm crying. It's like, okay, cool. I wasn't playing her for power anyway, but you know what? She wasn't nerfed all the way to 3/3 or 3/2. So that's fine. I'll take this. I'll take the 3/4.
Exactly.
Agree.
Yeah, totally agree. So now we go on to the next card, of course, and this is a several of cards and locations. So we have Kingpin, Scream, and Fisk Tower. So prior to this change, that location and those two cards were able to interact with face down card. Okay, I gotta stop saying face down. We're not playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Unrevealed cards. And for Scream, she was able to steal that 2 power and add it to herself. Scream was a 2/2. She is now a 2/3. So they gave her the buff just for compensation, which they didn't have to say, you know what? I know you guys had a blast with her and Juggernaut and those unrevealed cards. Now we're going to take that away. She only interacts with with reveal cards. Same thing with King.
Yeah, there you go.
You get it, Nick. You're getting there.
You're getting
Yu-Gi-Oh's on the brain.
Yeah.
It's a different podcast that talks about 7 different card games at once.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So as I see these changes, I think should happen. I mean, this makes sense. Like, because Spider-Man doesn't work with unrevealed cards anyway. Other locations and cards don't really work with unrevealed cards. Only Juggernaut. So you know what? Let it go. Let it be what it had to be. I'm happy for this change. It needed to happen. And I'm happy that Scream got a buff out of it. You know what I mean? That's pretty awesome. Her being a 2/3 now, because now she's a 2/5 off the back. One move. Like, that's crazy to me. That's beautiful. So yeah, I'm happy with the change. What about you guys?
I'm generally happy with the change from a consistency standpoint. And I'm more happy about her being a 2/3. Even though their reasoning is stating that, hey, we're making this change, so we're going to compensate with 1 power.
Right.
Whether they made this change or not, she needed the 1 power. She needed to be justified as a good 2-drop with 1 activation. You know, you look at your Thena, you look at your Angela, you look at, they got to get to a certain minimum, and they all right now are aiming for you're Craven. Right now, they're all getting to, 2/4 after 1 movement. She, for a newer card, honestly should have been over that, because 2/4 is not a strong enough stat line anymore or make something happen. So yes, that is also me kind of secondarily saying I would not mind seeing Angela get a little bit more power in that sense. I wouldn't mind seeing Thena go back to a 2/1 again, because you want that 2/5 after 1 activation. But I think for Scream's case, it's even more important because it is 10 times more difficult to get her activation versus an Angela, Athena, etc.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Agreed.
I'm happy for this.
Sino?
I agree with both of you. It needed the 2/3. Now that, like you said, unrevealed cards moving don't get affected, right? So that card took a hit. So since that's the case, give her the 1 power and let her go. But these card lists are still hugely effective. I can't tell you how many times I've seen Scream being played out there in the meta. So like since I've been there, so it's crazy.
It sucked though, because Hela was just killing that because Luke Cage, right? It was just like,
Yeah.
going up against Hela because Luke Cage is there. So it's like, so I'm happy. Yeah. Let's see how things
since
look.
Misery's come out and people have been switching up a little bit because I have seen Hela, but I haven't seen her so much. So I've seen people actually switching up to the Scream list, or they try the Khazar list, or they're doing a lot, or the Misery. It's a lot of different, Agent Venom. You got the symbiote people out there. It's a lot of different card lists being played right now, and I've seen a lot of Scream. So that should tell you that the community is really feeling that type of list. But like Guess said, it is extremely hard if there's nothing to move. So I have outplayed it a few times. You know what I mean? They just had nothing to move. So it wasn't really truly effective, if you get what I'm saying.
Is it weird to think that the community is playing Scream a lot because we want this archetype to be good?
Right.
And
I believe so. Mm-hmm.
I think that, and I hate to say, I think that's very much so a byproduct of a little bit of staleness in diversity. We're looking for, we know there's discard list, there's the destroy list, there's a mill deck, there's a clog deck, there's a screw you Hela, there's a, there's very specific preconceived decks at this point, and we want another. And this is one that kind of exists. Like, it's always been there, the interference, messing around with your opponent style of clog deck. But it never was truly anything like, ooh, you could make a full deck around this. Like Kingpin always felt weak to play. Craven was always clunky because you needed it to work in your favor, et cetera, et cetera.
The only thing I can think of is two cards, Magneto and Arrow, back in the day, Arrow, when she pulled all your shit. Your shit up.
Back then, exactly. That was great. That was great back then. But again, it was great for the time. Different meta. I think we would still survive that meta if she came back. In that original form, but that's a conversation for another cocktail.
For another day.
Yeah. I think that we as a community generally, the feeling that I get is that we want this to be a good archetype because it has that same success possibility like Clog, like true Clog, we'll call it, like, rocks and hoods and that kind of stuff, right? I think that we really tried and we all ended just short to going, it's not quite there. There's something else. It needs like another cheap activator, another 2-cost mover, power builder, benefiter, something along those lines, like another Spider-Man style card, but cheaper. Like it needs one more thing to make a little mini package that you could implement into even other decks. So it's on its way. I expect it to get there at some point, but it's just shy.
I agree. All right. Next on this, we have, of course, the Grandmaster. Now, Grandmaster got a bunch of tweaks in the past. It is now a 2/3. Gave it a buff, gave it an extra power. Woo-hoo. And I think it doesn't make too much of a difference in my eyes. I'm happy for the card. Just being honest. So, you're playing for the tech at this point. If you really want me to play this card more, you make him a 2/4. And I think then now we're talking. Now we're like,
now we got
that's just unnecessary.
Yeah,
that's just wrong. But we don't need that.
Yes, we do, because then I'm triggering arm reveals left and right. Listen, Grandmaster got the most play now without the buff. Everybody's playing Grandmaster with Misery. I played it so much that night. I'm like, why doesn't this work? And I was told,
it
why it doesn't work. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. But to me, it's like, we didn't need this buff. We were all playing Grandmaster with Misery. So to me, it's like, you really want to play this card? Make it a 2/4, and I'll play the hell out this card. But yeah, so that's how I feel about it. Guess, how do you feel about Grandmaster's buff?
Woohoo!
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. Sino, feel the same way?
Same way. Yeah,
that's all I got. Just woo!
We're still not playing this card. There you go. The next card, I'm definitely not playing. I also said it on my video earlier.
Well, Emperor Hulkling. For tech. You were using it for tech.
Yeah, no, I get it.
That was cool. Let's move on.
Guys, I'm playing him with Zabu now to see how shit goes. That's it. Emperor Hulkling. I'm never playing this card either. He got a buff. He's a 6/12. We spoke about this on the podcast episodes ago. Remember, what if he's a 6/15? Remember, guess that's the question Guess asked us. And we were like, okay, maybe I'll play it then. But do I want a 6/12 Taskmaster right now? Nope. Do I want a 612 Magneto? I can just put Magneto in the deck. Do I want a 612 Hulk? I can just put him in the deck. I'm sorry. I don't.
You do not. You do not want a 612 Infinite.
He absolutely needs to be at 614 at minimum. Minimum. Because you're playing into RNG. And if you look at the 6 cost cards, generally speaking, most of them are ineffective for the deck that you're for, unless if they're very archetype specific. If you hit big, you hit big. Woohoo. But a 614 Hulkling, that now I actually consider, because I erase that 4% chance of destroyer, like I consider that for a Hela deck over Giganto, because it gives me flexibility of another turn 6 option of, hey, maybe it does turn into that Magneto. Maybe it does turn into something worth my time. Like an Artem Zola or a Dr. Doom or in that instance, I think that he's like, okay, your power now justifies your randomness. Cause if you don't if you don't hit, the miss it's still a 14 power card. And it's then you're affording the RNG loss. Right now, 612, I don't think it does that.
I think they should give us a list of cards that he can turn into. And then they can make him a 612 and I'll play him. So if you say he can only turn into Doom, Zola, all the good 6 cost cards that I don't have to worry about it. No, I don't think he's cracked because you still have that RNG, right? Because he could turn to a Hela. What is that going to do for you, right? At that stage,
not playing this card.
You know what I'm saying? But I don't want it to be a Infinite, or I don't want to be a Taskmaster, because especially a Taskmaster, like what am I going to do with a 612 Taskmaster? You know what I'm saying? Like that to me, if you told me
6 made no sense anyway, but I get it.
Right. But if you told me, he can only turn into, or you know what? He can only turn into any of the Hulks from any of the levels. So Scar, She-Hulk, Red Hulk, Green Hulk, then I'm fine with that. Then you can make him a 610 or 11.
Unless he's high evoed, but
but I'm saying, think about all the Hulks in the game. He can only turn into one of the Hulks. I'm down for that too. Right? He could be a Scar. Maybe
there's something you could do with the power association where there's some kind of mechanic that influences his power number. And when he is drawn, he assumes the presence of any 6 cost card that has less power than what he has, or more power than what he has. Like, something along those lines. I think that's unique and different and helps your case. Like, but I don't know. Is it better to do it higher or lower?
I think
what would you rather have?
I think the same or lower. I'm fine with a Hela. I'm fine with a Zola. I'm fine with a Doom. I'm fine with all that. What I'm not fine with, I can't even say that because I don't want Taskmaster. Like, that's the biggest one there.
But that's the thing. You have that in both directions for that reason. You have the potential Taskmaster at 6-0.
Or the Taskmaster.
Or I was going to say Destroyer and Agatha. It ends up in your hand. Both of those are really big problems.
Okay.
So, especially if you're not Agatha built.
Right. I think you want the lower end more than you want the higher end, even if the Taskmaster is an option. So it's like a 6.
The Taskmaster will be the
7.
It'll be the one card that's the problem. That's fine.
6-7
I'm
Hulkling?
okay with that. Yes.
Make Task a 5 again. I'm with you.
Yeah, why not? Then I won't even worry about that. Then I'll be fine. Then it should be lower. Yeah, but how you guys feel? We still playing this card? I mean, I haven't played it ever.
Nah,
I was about to say, still playing this card? What do you mean? We're playing it now?
I didn't even test it out. So
no, thank you. Yeah, we're okay on this.
Fantastic. Next, Okoye. I'm happy to see her name in an OTA. What I'm not happy with is that she still gives +1 power to the deck. You could make Okoye a 2/8, and I still won't be happy with those stats. I want Okoye. She could be a 0-2. She could be a 2-1. She could be a 2 whatever. I want +2 to the deck. I think Okoye deserves that. What? Okay, let's hear the
I like that.
Let's hear the God no reason.
Well, of course you like it. You want Silver Surfer at +3. Okay, so of course you like that.
Oh, bring Surfer back.
If Okoye gave if she was a 2-0 that gave +2s to every card in the deck.
2-2. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Compare that to the Fastos idea that we talked about last week. was it last week or the week before? I don't remember, but
yeah,
about Fastos at 2-1, because now they're at least with Fastos giving the +2s to the deck, which he does. It's an RNG play. It's either +2 or the -1 cost. With Okoye, it would be, well, would I play that or Fastos? You play Okoye every single time.
Maybe. Mm-hmm. If you're not playing Zabu, then you play Fastos because you want to get that chance to get the -1. But if you're playing Zabu on 1, yes, you're going to pick Okoye for 2. So I'm with you. It all depends on what you want to do.
I think that if you give that much power potential to one specific card, like you look at Blue Marvel, right? He's a 5-cost card, 3 power, giving 1 to everything that's already been played prior and post it. That's a really low stat line and a very high cost to be able to make that amount of power happen. When you, I know when you draw the card, you don't necessarily have to play the card to get the benefit of the power. But if you give +2s to everything on that you draw from there on out, that's just way too strong, in my opinion. Way too strong.
Okay. I don't know. I don't see it being that strong, though. I really don't. The +2 to me doesn't. I'm trying to think of any card that I would draw after that. Because, I mean, if we look at what the wonderful Agent Venom is doing, giving everybody a base 4 right now, like, I get it. It's not adding to it. But we look at, let's say, Gwenpool, who's giving wonderful buffs to those cards in your hand. I mean, I still think that +2 to your deck, I'm trying to think of every card that's in there. I don't think it'd be too bad. I don't think so. Because right now we're doing way more power creeping than ever in this meta and in Snap period. And I think Okoye will never get play because why would I put this in my list when I rather play the 2/4 Agent Venom and give all my cards, base cards, 4 power. And just play that list. Play the Hit Monkey, play the Iron Man, play those.
That Okoye, though, I'm playing in a negative list immediately.
Because most, no, 2-0, right? Most
negative,
with
that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, but with most cards right now, base 4 power is perfect. It helps them so much. You think about Sage, you think about, like I said, Hit Monkey, you think about Bishop, you think about Athena, Angela. I mean, there's so many cards that benefit from the +4 that I'm never playing Okoye. Never. That's the reason why nobody ever plays America Chavez. I don't know why she's in the game anymore. I'm being real. I'm not trying to joke. I'm just saying.
No, but use that as a perfect counterpoint.
What I'm saying.
Yeah, but use it as your perfect counterpoint. If they're going to give +2 to a card in the deck, they're doing it randomly, and your only way to maybe have some targeting is if you play a duck. You know, that's
right.
That is +2 to any card has to be balanced and justified. Like Surfer is, it's a 3/2, and it has to specifically be one range of costs. I think just if it's +2s across the board, I think it's just way. I think power wise is way too strong. Like imagine Wong on. Imagine this. Imagine this. Wong on 4, Mystique plus Okoye on 5. No matter what, you're pulling your next card with +8 power.
I don't see anything wrong with that.
You worked hard for that 8 power.
I had to work hard to do that.
I played 3 cards.
But you had to draw those 2 cards. But what about, you had to hope there was no Magneto, Enchantress, or Cosmo or anything.
Right now with Chavez. We could do this right now with Chavez, and she's cheaper. We could do the Wong and Chavez, and then my turn 6 card is going to get the same thing you just mentioned.
So thank you for confirming for me that this idea is still going to be strong, because I can do it right now and I can show it to you for next week and be like, hey, look, run this as a combo for turn 6. Run it with a bunch of cheap cards. Do a lot of those on reveals and see what happens if you do the Wong Mystique, lots of on reveal 2s and 1s, and see how it goes. I bet you it's going to be a strong deck, especially if you throw in Agent Venom also.
Yeah, but you're not playing Okoye on turn 6. You're playing on turn 2. So the Wong portion of this is only if you're playing out all the way to turn 6. You're doing Wong Mystique, and then of course you're playing this on turn 5. I mean, I want to play this on turn 2. So Wong doesn't even have to be in the card list. And if Wong is in the card list, Okoye is going to be far away from it unless we do some.
So we're going to do Agent Venom on 2 and then Okoye on 3.
Yeah, I love that. So +6 power, everybody. Let's go.
Look. As much as I would abuse the ever living shit out of that, that is dangerous for the game.
Broken. Okay, so Okoye can only give +2 to a set of cards. What cards can they be? Can we say just the black cards in the game?
Why has it got to be a black card? Why has it got to be a black card? Huh?
What?
You go piss off so many people as a black man with that statement.
That's the reason why I said I'm going to say something to make you guys walk away. You guys didn't walk away. You guys didn't get the joke. You guys actually stopped the guy.
Question it. We're like, what the hell are you talking about?
You guys got real serious on me. They were like, excuse me? What did you just say?
Did you say?
For our audio listeners, he can make that joke because he is black. For those who have never seen SuperTechGod.
Right.
No, but for real though, if he could, if Okoye had to target specific cards, like target a cost,
the cards that only have 4 costs or less,
then you're targeting other 2 cost cards. You're making her a 2/0, and you're giving it +3. Then I would say you would actually go up in the power because you look at a comparative card, right? Look at what they just did to Zabu. It has to be a very specific thing that's going to heavily benefit from it at a cost. Okoye being able to do that would be fantastic. The big thing that we're all ignoring, though, and the reason they will never do anything we've just said is because she's Series 1. And that will prevent it from being that kind of broken much later in the game because it is one of the first cards you interact with. And if you're in Series 1, Series 2, you play that until, the cows come home. Like that's all you play is guarantee. Okay, we're going to build a deck, right? All right, here's your Okoye. And now the other 11 cards.
That's how it was in beta. When Okoye was at 1 cost. So I get it. All right. Okay. You know what? Fair enough.
20 minutes on Okoye. I love it.
Yeah.
Who saw that shit coming?
That was so bananas. All right, we're going to dive into this week's card. And that card, of course, was Misery. So Misery is a Series 5 card. She's unreveal, repeat the unreveal abilities of your other cards here, then destroy them. Sino did make a phenomenal cook about 20 minutes before the card came out. He called me about it while he was cooking it up. And I was telling him that he's stupid. That card isn't needed. I'm like, why are you doing that? Like, it's not going to benefit me. He goes, I'm sorry. Are you good? He goes, what cards are you talking? He said, your deck only has 6 cards. Ken, you need to have 12. And I go, oh shit, you're right. Okay. You know what? Put those cards in there then. Sure enough, it was a banger. I went from 85 to infinite last night with it. So shout out to that. I mean, I gave this card the worst card this season. I said it's going to be the worst card this season. Now, after playing it the way we did and not be in a destroy list, because I know Guest said the same thing. This card doesn't have to be in destroy. You guys are both correct. And I have to give this card a double gold. I have to do it. It is that much fun. It is. I was giving it a silver to a, plastic. But yeah, double gold for me. Guess, how do you feel?
Completely the opposite. Like all the way the other way.
Wow.
So I put this card into in total between stream and off stream. I tried, I think it was either 9 or 10 different builds. Both destroy and not destroy. I tried Thanos lists. I tried Ronin lists. I tried a whole bunch of stuff. In Infinite, none of them had a winning win rate, a positive win rate. Not one. And go ahead, call it a skill issue as much as you want.
I'm not saying anything.
No, I'm saying to our audience.
I was talking about the people.
But, yeah, you're not the only one listening to me.
Okay, fair enough.
It's not all about you, SuperTechGod. Jeez.
We already know you're a god. We don't have to treat you like one too. God. Listen, I absolutely detest this card. This is a plastic to me. Because
I love that.
The biggest reason why every single time I played this card, I felt like it should be a different card. Every deck I put it in, I could build this exact same deck with a less detrimental option to either do the same thing that I want it to do or give it a different piece of tech. And I feel like it would have made the deck much better. Every time I played the card, I was like, this is nearly unnecessary for me. I'm very anti this card. I would not recommend it. Save your keys in every way, shape, and form. To me, this is a straight up plastic card. I was not a fan. I would rather play Hulkling.
Wow, those are some real strong words. I'm just going to be real brief. 50 games, 68% win rate, plus 53 Qs. Not to say it's a skill issue. It just goes to show how people have a different. I was saying it goes to show how people have different experiences with cards because
and different metas.
I was with Guess earlier when we first read. I was like, this is definitely silver. This is the worst card this season. But because it got me to Infinite, I can't say that. So I love Guess honesty because of what his experience was. Yeah. And that's how it goes here, guys. Whatever your experience is, everybody's experience is different. So,
that's right.
Sino, what is your take? How you feel about Misery?
All right. So felt like it was. I went through stages because I felt like it was a platinum, right? Because with what I ran with it, it had a purpose. It had killing the Korg. It had killing the Spider-Ham, re-triggering them also at the same time. But like killing Master Mold, Korg, Spider-Ham, White Widow, Rock Slide, all of those cards, re-triggering them and then getting rid of them really worked in my favor because it really buffed my Ronin and it really buffed my Darkhawk. I had Mystique also to copy them up. I apologize. So it really played into my strategy of how this card list worked. So it has purpose. It can only, it has to be dropped on turn 4. You can't drop it on any other turn. Like it monopolizes your turn 4. That's it. You're either dropping Misery on 4 or you're keeping Misery in your hand. You don't want to drop it too early because you're probably not going to get the effect that you really want to reduplicate. So it fits because my turn 4 is the Misery spot. That's where you play Misery. If you don't, I'm probably playing Cosmo or something else to replace it, but I'm dropping Misery there to reproc these cards so it works to my favor at the end. You know what I mean? My closing turns. So that's where I found it shining. Where I brought it down a little bit was because I'm not going to lie. So I'm at double gold with it because like Guest said, it can be very tricky. If you don't pull it and play it by 4, it's kind of useless. You have to really be unique and strategic in what cards you're destroying and how to do it. Because once it destroys, you only have 7 power in that lane by 4. Yeah. Can be a little rough on 5, 6. Hopefully you had, hopefully someone magicked or you had a turn 7 so you could weasel out another way. It's just a little difficult at that cost to have Misery there and then still work out something else to try and win. Like it does. The 7 power helps, but it doesn't help a lot. So I would probably maybe increase its power up maybe 1.
What if it was a 9 or a 10?
Or 2. I was going to say 1 or 2.
How would you guys feel about it?
Still I think a 9 better, but I don't know if it's winning you that lane. And by that turn, you really got to be, it has to be in a lane with other cards that are helping it win. It's going to be the only card in there unless you're running it with, say, Cosmo or Armor. Armor is pretty good because it won't destroy the cards and it still triggers them, which is dope.
See, it's interesting because when you think about it as like a 4/9, it's still a piece of shit.
Wow. All right. Well, we know how Guest feels about it. We have
there you go.
Card. I think this card is going to be the best card this season. Funny. I was also wrong about Scarlet Spider because nobody's playing that card. But nonetheless, when you discard this, return it to your hand. Give it +2 power to itself and one of its cards in play. So again, as we understand this card is only giving +2 power to a card in play and is buffing itself 2 every time it gets discarded, right? I know the what we read, the data mines was give its power to one of the cards, which if you kept proccing this and it was a +6 by the time you discard it again, it's giving +6 to one of the cards. That has been taken away, or that data mine. We can't get mad at data mines the same way we can't get mad at bootlegs. It wasn't what it was prior to coming to us.
Yep.
Okay, so I still think it's gonna be best card this season. This card is gonna have a blast, especially in the Apocalypse. I think it's gonna be super fun. But that's all I'm going to say for now. I'm going to go, yes, I feel this is a diamond card. I'll let you guys know after next week's test run. Guess your rating.
Did he say diamond?
Yeah, he said diamond.
I thought I thought I'd heard wrong.
Yeah, no. Sorry. You heard it. You heard it right. I know. We all got quiet for the right reasons. The only thing I really worry about this card is it has one home. You have one deck exclusively that this card really shines in any capacity, and that's a MODOK build. And MODOK decks have not really been the build of choice to kind of default to for quite some time. I wonder if this is going to be enough to bring it into light because of it randomly putting, a little extra power here, a little extra power here, a little extra power here. I'm also assuming, again, this is, kind of revisiting the OTA a bit, but I'm assuming cards in play specifically means revealed cards.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because
you can't buff an unrevealed card. I don't think so.
But you can destroy an unrevealed card.
Yes.
So Murder World kills unrevealed cards.
That's true. Yeah.
Which is another topic. But if you can do that, it's technically in play. It's not revealed or unrevealed. They're both are satisfying the status. So that's something I want to see.
I like the way you're thinking.
It's something I want to see.
I think they're going to give us that. That one
I don't think so
they're going to give us. Yeah, but I like that. I hope that works, and I hope what you're saying is true. But I don't think they're going to give us that. And
it'd be amazing.
It would make it better. It would make it better. Yes, it was.
Yeah. But then I think the only thing to me that might be fun or cheeky is you start thinking of the random builds that like less cards on the battlefield for that as a potential build. You do like a Invisible Woman style build, and then you put, Nomura in the package. You put one card in one lane, one card in another lane. You've got Wong and Nomura and MODOK, and that's your Invisible Woman lane. And then you just got all this power because all these things are happening, and it's discarding it twice, and it gives you a little bit extra power here, and you randomly power here. Like maybe there's something in that. Sebastian Shaw, fuck it, throw it in there too. Like maybe there's something to that, but you have to have MODOK. I don't see this card working well because without it, because you can't rely on just Swordmaster and Colleen Wing. This is its own deck. You're playing a Scorn discard deck. If you're playing,
think if we throw Corvus and Hellcow in there also helps.
Hellcow, yeah, Hellcow too, absolutely. But you need power though. Hellcow gives you that power, and
Corvus gives you energy, and you got to pray though that you hit
discard
the card.
A lot of unless if you're playing Hela, do you need the energy in a discard deck though?
It doesn't hurt, right?
Well, we're also not looking at other things like Nakia or a better Okoye or Gwenpool, right? Because we can buff Scorn as early as we can and then start discarding her.
Gwenpool,
so she will get that power. My mind or my
you mean to play her on turn 6?
Not to play at all. Dracula her turn 6. So you still get
Dracula
the MODOK.
her turn 6. Okay,
right. So you still get the MODOK. She can even hit Dracula while it's on the field, getting Dracula buffed, right? But you can still MODOK on turn 6 now, clearing your hand,
and you got to
sure that you get. To make sure you get the Scorn, or you can still MODOK on 5 and then make a decision on what you want to play, whether you have APOC in your hand or Swarms, and then have Dracula take the rest of Scorn's power, right? Those are kind of things that I'm thinking about when it comes to Scorn. Does she need to be with MODOK? Maybe not. You could probably go the Gambit route too, right? Try the Exodia and just start, because she could still, right? She comes back to the hand, Gambit. And of course, in the other lane, in comes.
I do believe she is Gambit bait. Yeah, she is.
Right. So, I think there's some
Swarm and APOC.
Well, I guess that's a part of the question too. Do you think Scorn decks require you to play APOC or require you to remove APOC?
You might have to remove APOC. or
replacing
Swarm. Pick one, or Swarm. I think you don't need both. I think you take a chance with
I don't think
Scorn
you need
and
Swarm.
APOC.
I think it replaces Swarm.
Or Scorn and the Swarm. No, you can no. I think both. You have an option.
I think you can still run APOC now.
No, you don't need APOC at that point because you're going to be buffing up Scorn. So you have to pick one, right? Because if you're going to go the APOC route, you can still go that route, but you don't need Swarms, right? Because now you at least on turn
I can buff up
6,
Scorn.
you want to play Sworn, right? You're not going to want to play APOC.
Well, I could buff up Scorn and then play MODOK Scorn on 6 with the Dracula to take
if you're playing the MODOK. I mean, technically, guys, we can even use Dakin, right? And just discard the Dakin blades. I think there's a lot of things with Scorn that we're not thinking about that we can actually do without having to use the traditional MODOK, APOC, or Swarms. We could do many different things. I don't know. My whole thing is I want to see if she could be used in other lists with either Gilgamesh or Marvel Boy outside of discard or outside of the typical discard. But again, that's overthinking things. But that's where my head was at. Like, hey, we just need one card, like whether it be Calling Wing to hit this card and then it buffs and then we play it with Marvel Boy and we do the whole Blue Marvel thing. And if we need to put, what's that card that gets buffs and moves Meek in the list? So it's a lot of crazy shit. I just think Scorn is going to be the best card this season because we're going to see some crazy builds with it.
Sino, what's in your cup?
Some Grey Goose and Rebel.
Are you sharing with him?
No.
Oh. Just curious.
Wow. Okay. All right.
Not at all. He hasn't sipped.
What's your score? What's your score? Guess. What did you give this card? What's your pre-score?
Some of what you said has definitely helped because some of those synergies I hadn't necessarily thought about. I'll give it a gold. I'm right. I'm indifferent on it. I think it'll be better than the miserable experience of this past week.
Yeah, Misery loves
Misery.
Yeah, I mean, Misery doesn't love company. Misery loves Scorch. Yeah, I'll stay with gold.
Okay. Sino.
All right. I think, and if this is my rating beforehand, maybe it'll go up. I have a feeling it'll probably go up to platinum, but it's a double gold for me.
All right. That's what I want to hear. So we'll see what it looks like come next week when we're back on the podcast. But that's our take on those cards. Now, we had a discussion going on around the interwebs in regards to splits in Marvel Snap. So shout out to Lauren Whatevs and Snap Variants compiling a list of data.
Good job, guys.
Yeah, they did a phenomenal job of what was going on with the splits in the game. Now, I know you guys heard me talk about on the podcast last week. I felt like we need a pity timer because I felt like my splits are getting worse. And without even knowing this was happening, clearly it wasn't just me, guys. I thought I was tripping. It wasn't just me. So I'm happy that it wasn't just me. But the splits, it wasn't something that was intended because right after that data was given to the world, Second Dinner internally did their investigation and responded to us and let us know exactly what they did to figure out what was going on. And again, like I said on my stream, shout out to Second Dinner for acknowledging what happened, doing their own investigation, and then sharing what they did after the investigation, and also telling us that they're going to compensate us for what happened by giving us an additional higher percentage when it comes to split for a set period of time to match the time that we had the decrease in the rate. And I said on the stream, name me another company that would do that. Not one other gaming company would come out and say, hey, we fucked up. Our bad. Here's what we're going to do for it. And shout out to Second Dinner for that quick response and letting people know that this is what happened and they were planning on something else and this is why it happened, but they're not too sure why it did what it did. Nonetheless, they see the issue and they're going to fix it and compensate us for it. So to me, that was phenomenal. I give that triple diamond of the world.
Yes.
The way that Second Dinner quickly responds to issues and resolve them as best as they can. Yeah. So that was awesome. That's all I got to say about that.
Yeah.
Guess, how did you feel about the whole scenario and how the response and how everything was handled?
It's amazing how the community, I think, reacted to the situation happening just as it was starting to unfold. Like first, seeing like you did, you start to have feeling like, man, it's been really tough to get splits recently. And then there's this this investigation happening, and Lauren going crazy on the statistics and looking at this and breaking down the analysis of how many times it happened. And then watching Second Dinner take that assessment due to their respect for Lauren, I think more than anything else, and said, if she's coming out with this math, this might be worth looking into, because this is a hell of a thing. And there's a lot of data here helping to support this on some very large accounts and a good data set to work from. So then they did continue forward. And I know they were working on it for days because I was trying to communicate to get ready for this weekend coming up, which we'll talk about in a bit, and trying to reach out to anybody from both Second Dinner and Newverse this week was incredibly difficult comparatively to any other week, because they were bogged straightforward with everything that they were working on with the Infinity splits and trying to figure out what the problem was and why and how. And then, as we saw from the message, how are they going to also rectify it in a way that the community feels like, okay, this is a good balance right here. And I like how they handled it by increasing that rate during December and November as well. Yeah, a little bit in October. Yeah, it affects it's about 2 months total. So it's the same amount of time, apparently, roughly, that we were affected by it. They're basically creating a canceling of averages by saying, okay, for 2 months, roughly, it was bad. For another 2 months now, it's going to be really good.
We're going to make it extraordinarily good.
Yeah.
After this 2 months, we'll bring it back to regular.
Yeah, January it's going to hit, and we're back to where we should have been from the very beginning. Yeah. And this was, I guess the best thing that came out of this, besides the next 2 months of really good splits, I think the best thing that honestly came out of it was them saying the two words that we all have really wanted to hear from them, which was character mastery.
Yes.
So I'm looking forward to that more than anything else. Like, I can't even tell you. And I'm curious to see how that also unfolds with the community too. That's good.
Yeah, and cool. I think that's what kind of caused the discrepancy, right? With them working on that, and then it kind of So it's like, it wasn't like they did this on purpose. They were trying to bring in this new feature that we've been, begging for so long. And in doing so, something happened in the code, I assume.
Things got shifted.
And this is how thing got right. Correct.
So,
Sino, how do you feel about that as well?
Go ahead.
Go ahead, guess what you gonna say. So what?
Yeah, go ahead, guess.
I'm gonna leave you with this one, Sino. So when the community does data mines, right? Whether it's Snap Zone, Snap Fan, Untapped, whatever, whoever's doing a data mine, and they look for information for the future, how far out roughly can they find information?
Wow, I was gonna say a year. No,
it isn't a year.
No. Like if you went on one of those sites right now,
a month or so.
It's like
a month or two. I would say
2-3 months. You can see some bundles. You see some spotlights. Like, we know the seasons, and maybe the cards change here or there, but we know a whole bunch of stuff, and it's pretty secure for about 3 months, and then sometimes a couple of things change along the way, not majorly.
And then, we change something. Yeah,
little tweaks happen here and there, right? So it's roughly 3 months that we see data mines.
Correct.
For this bug, quote unquote, to go live and affect the current user base, that means that the system was already being tested in the game. Yeah. In the current builds of the clients.
Yep.
So does that mean from this moment that we're within 3 months of seeing character mastery?
Could be.
Think about that, Sino.
Math. Yeah.
That's a conspiracy theory right there, I guess. Yeah. Was it hidden in plain sight this whole time?
Who knows?
Yes. So how do you feel about the whole, how the Second Dinner handle the situation.
Yo, guys, I'm usually the third person to give Second Dinner their props on this podcast. Okay, I usually don't get there fast enough between these two guys over here. Second Dinner employee current, Guess Gaming, and ex Second Dinner employee of the month, STG. What was it? 13 months running. That was big,
Yeah,
big streak there.
Big record.
But I will say that this is fair. And that's at the end of the day, that's all you can really ask for, right? And I don't know if any other gaming company is going to tell you, my bad, we fucked up. Here's something to make up for that. They might do that, but it'd be very minimal to the point where they see no loss. At least Second Dinner is saying, hey, listen, we didn't know what happened. Thank you so much for somebody bringing this to our attention. We did the research. They are correct. And here's what we're going to do about it. We made things really hard for you guys over these last couple months. You know what? We're going to make things even easier for you these next couple months to balance it out. And then we're going to get things right and put it back to the way it was. And I don't think that's unreasonable. You know what I mean? Yeah, we had a hard couple months, but we're over it now. That's done. You know what I mean? Now we're moving forward to a better day. You know what I mean? And then that's all you can really ask. People make mistakes, and when they fix them, we have to be like, okay, appreciative, thank you, and we move forward. You know what I mean? So I do appreciate Second Dinner with the speedy response and and just being like, yo, taking accountability, which is important, I feel like, for a gaming community.
Yep, I totally agree with that. Good call on that. And I hope the community sees that and they don't ask for their heads on a stick, right? Because
that's not
everybody always. I'm saying no. I'm just saying
it's going to be appropriate. Do it for something that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Don't do it over this. This doesn't make any they making up for it. So you can't hold them to the fire.
They always call Second Dinner out for everything they do wrong. They never give the flowers when the stuff is done right. So I'm just saying,
it's a conspiracy.
Just be real. Yeah. Be real with yourselves and what the community, what they're doing. And speaking of what they're doing, ladies and gentlemen, it is their 2-year anniversary coming up, as well as Guess Gaming's birthday and my birthday. So this month is chock full with a bunch of awesome celebrations. But of course, we want to get to the one that's happening and starting this weekend, where Guess Gaming won't be sleeping at all. And that is
not one little bit.
The Creator Gauntlet of Power. Creator Gauntlet that's coming out.
Reflex.
Yes, it is. And it's awesome what Second Dinner is doing, allowing all the creators in the wonderful Creator program. And outside the Creator program, or you have to be in the Creator program? Just the Creator program. That's right. So all the creators in the Creator program is able to sign up this weekend and get into the wonderful gauntlet and battle it out to see if they can make top 32 next weekend. And then, of course, have the finals. And of course, yours truly, our Guess Gaming, the Mr. Epic Sax Party himself, will be casting for 18 hours, 2 days. 48 hours, whatever you want to call it, straight on the.
You know what he's going to be drinking while he's doing it?
Snapchat.
He's going to be drinking his Guess Gaming coffee. That's right.
That's right. Oh, all of it. All of the coffee.
Out of his Guess Gaming coffee mug, especially the Infinite big one. That's the only one that's at that size. Nonetheless, that is awesome, guys. We have Gunny T, who is flawless at running tournaments. He will be running this one. So between him and Guess, I know this is going to be in phenomenal hands. I just wish them great health and success throughout this.
I don't need health. No.
Who needs health? Shout out to Gunny also. I met Gunny at SnapCon. Really, really cool dude. So really great guy.
100%.
He's flawless. So 100%. We're going to let Guess. Yes, I'm buying a shirt with the 100% on it. We're going to let Guess go ahead and break down what's happening this weekend and why we should all be excited and tune in to check out this awesome event.
So there's going to be by the time this podcast comes out, at some point, potentially on Friday, there'll be finally some official things that pop on out for the community. But to help explain what it is, the Creator Gauntlet is an open invite to the entire Marvel Snap creator community internationally and said, hey, listen, we're going to do a true gauntlet here, a true tournament, competitive, no bot type of play at all. It's y'all are facing each other, going up in battles, and in the top 32 especially. It's a private server, not having to deal with any of that other kind of stuff. And the way the qualifiers work, which is what I'll be casting this weekend, there are 3 international qualifiers, one for the NA region, for the AS region, and the EU region. And creators have the option to sign up for whatever one they want to, and then go into full on battle and kick it out for, I want to say we've estimated it's going to be about 5 hours roughly in each of those qualifiers, because you're doing this as a Swiss battle, trying to knock yourself down and survive and make it into the top. The way the top 32 will be made will be based on where the different concentrations are. So if it's, I call it, even though it's not true, I call it the electoral college system, where if half of the player base is all in the the competitors for this are all in the North American region, well, then 16 people from the North American region would make the top 32. And then it would be distributed based on the percentages on the rest. And that's how we're flexing who's going to build the top 32, is based on the amount of competition that you're also going up against. And then the top 32 go into a straight on bracket, and then the finals. And there's there's so much
endless.
happening behind the scenes. I can't even tell you the amount of work.
It's endless.
It is endless. And it is such a cool thing to be a part of, to have been invited to produce and cast this end of it. I straight up told everybody who's involved, I'm like, listen, I know how I can handle this. I can do all 3. I gladly will do all 3. I'm going to do it in a very specific system that's easy, consistent, and I can showcase as many people as possible, whether they're a Twitch streamer, whether they're a YouTube content creator, whether they're a game developer for a website, but they want to compete and show off their own battles for the first time. Whoever's in the creator program, even writers are in the creator program, and they're not, making YouTube content, but they have a chance to be showcased. We have all of that in place, and it's a lot. And it's a lot of rules, a lot of logistics, a lot of legalities, a lot of meetings. And I can say confidently, even with the amount of time that we have crammed this together the way that we have, seeing what's already there behind the scenes is amazing. And kudos to everybody who's on the mod and admin team who have made this already what it is. But if you're listening to this podcast on Friday, I'm probably still working on this as you're listening to the podcast. I'm currently at my computer working on layouts and animations and setups and as well as other things. And then if you're listening to this on Saturday, stop listening to the end of the podcast and go right over to twitch.tv/Marvel Snap, because there are 3 different regionals. One at, if I'm going to remember the times off the top of my head, I'm going to try to now translate it to Eastern. I think it's roughly 1 o'clock Eastern on Saturday, and then 8 p.m. Eastern on Saturday night, and then 11 a.m. Eastern on Sunday morning. Roughly. Let's go. Basically, just log on to the Marvel Snap channel. Chances are I'll be live.
Let's go. Let's go. All right.
That's going to be fantastic. Yes. Sino and I will be both in it. Yeah. We'll both be heading to top 32.
Let's go.
That's right. That's how we doing things out here in these wonderful snaps.
That's right.
100%. We're going to be doing our thing. So after you guys are listening to this, Sino and I will be practicing, right? We've been practicing getting our work in, because we got to get ready. And that's right. Hint to everybody, I'm bringing a list that's just going to make me win. That's all. So we got this in the bag. No, it's not Hela.
It's an infinite list. I repeat, it's an infinite.
We'll find out, guys. We'll find out. But nonetheless, I'm pumped. I'm excited. I cannot wait to be a part of this. This is history in the making for even Second in a New Verse to put this together and allow to give back to the creators. Has been putting out content for their game for roughly 2 years. To allow them to, be in such an event and be able to showcase themselves is phenomenal.
Yeah, awesome.
So, Sino, you excited? Yep. You ready?
I'm excited. I'm ready to go.
All right.
I'm ready to go.
Pumped. So before we leave, we did have a few things that we didn't ever discuss in the last podcast that I promise we will next podcast. One of them being the mailbag. People left comments about the mailbag, and we did not read those comments. So
we did not.
We're going to
compile.
yeah, we will, guys, keep doing those mailbags. Next episode, we're going to start off with the mailbag. We'll talk about.
We'll have a mailbag section. There we go.
Now,
put it in the
I
section.
did remove the Funko Pops, but some of you guys did call it right. So I do owe you guys a gold bundle. Yep. I'm going to go back and see what they were and let you guys know exactly what they were. And we'll give away that gold bundle at the next podcast. But before we go, real quick, the last topic is perfection. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. What is your perfect card in the game? We're talking cost, power, balance. We're going to have guests start off with his, and we're going to give ours, and then chat. You let us know down below. And if you pick yours next week, you will get a gold pass.
Let's chat.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about this because it came up in a conversation earlier in the week. And it was a really interesting thought process trying to figure out the difference between a card you like versus a card that is perfect, in the sense of it ticks all of the boxes between ability. It's not too expensive and not too cheap for its ability. It's not too overpowered or underpowered. For what it does, what is the perfect card in Marvel Snap? So I'm going to give two as the ones that jump to me as probably the most balanced versions for what they are. First one is Sarah. I think Sarah is one of the perfect cards because it's just costed right. It's just priced right at 4 power, and it is an incredibly strong ability. So you want to get it out to benefit you on the final turn of the game. If you get it out any earlier, like when you have an Elysium match, it's just a crazy match. You don't want that ability too early, so it's costed really, really well. You don't want it to feel like a sacrifice for putting it down. So 4 power is just enough to feel like, okay, at least there's something here if I'm putting down this card in this lane. So it's when you're playing out something that's 5/2, like old Leech used to be, or current Professor X. Like, if you're going to do it, you need to do that to win the game. If you played Sarah at 5/2, she's dramatically worse because that 2 power in that lane really does make that much of a difference. So I think she's one of the most well-rounded cards in Marvel Snap. She's the perfect balance. And my other selection is exactly in the same realm. Iron Man. I think Iron Man is a perfect card because it is an insanely strong ongoing ability to double everything going on in that lane. That's strong. Right. It has 0 power because it doesn't need power itself. It doesn't need any at all. It needs the power from everybody else to make itself worthwhile. And then there are other ways you can play it to benefit. Sure, you can make it even stronger with a couple of synergies or get it out for even cheaper because it's 5 cost, because in its raw form, it's a very good card, and it has ways that you can cheat it out that are not too detrimental because it also synergizes with other aspects of the game. I think that Iron Man and Sarah are 2 prime examples of what I think Second Dinner looks at and goes, yeah, we did that really well. That's a great card.
No need to change that.
No need to change that in any way, shape, or form. Those are perfect. Sino, what is your version of perfect?
It was Iron Man, but you took it. Yes! It's okay. Yeah.
Because it is.
I have. It is perfect. Iron Man is appropriately costed. You know what I mean? The stats are perfect. Can't have power to it. If Iron Man had power to it, it'd be cracked. It'd be cracked. It'd be it would just be broken. Right. Yeah. Especially paired with Mystique and Onslaught. And then that Tribunal will kind of reign supreme. So yes, Iron Man is perfect, and Sarah also. I'll give you credit on that. Sarah is appropriately powered and appropriately costed, because if at a 5, the 4 power gives you a reward for sacrificing for tech on 5, right? Because Sarah's a tech card. That's what you're playing her for. You're not playing her for power. She doesn't have massive power, so you're kind of sacrificing that turn while your opponent is placing big power on the board. You're getting the advantage of cost on the next turn, so that you can drop multiples cards and kind of counter whatever your opponent's playing. So I think Sarah is also perfect, but my other 2 that I'm going to switch up, since guest chose those, I'm going to choose Zola as my first one, because Zola cannot be at a 5, a 4. I think Zola can't be anything but a 6 cost card. because Zola is going to, what Zola does, guys, it destroys that card and it places 2 duplicates in the opposite lanes. So Zola is such a powerful card. It can't even have power, because once you should have that disadvantage of having the 0 in that one lane, because if it did have power in there, it'd just be too much. You'd have the 2 opposite lanes plus the Zola lane to have power. It's just too much. I wouldn't like that. But so I think Zola at its power now and its cost now is the perfect. It's perfect synergy, perfect everything. My next card is going to be Wong at 4/2. Wong's tech is so powerful that I can't see it being any other cost, and I can't see it being a 5 cost because I believe that'd be too late. I can't see it being a 6 cost because that's just too much at a 6/2. No, it's there's no way you're gonna make Wong work in those later turns. The earlier turns, and Wong's too powerful. You have Wong at a 1, 2, or 3. It's too much. There's too many on reveal cards in this game to have Wong at any early cost and just be cheating away. So yeah,
that was awesome.
Yeah, so the power, the reason Wong is at a 2 is because its tech is so powerful, being that it duplicates on reveal, that it can't have that massive power in it. Just because the ability is so strong, especially placed with Mystique, or you place an Odin on top of that, and you're just going crazy. So Wong is also the perfect card because it's put exactly where it needs to be, not to be too much and not to be too less. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like a 4/4 version of Wong would just be broken.
It's cracked. That's cracked.
Yeah.
4/3 is even.
Yeah, and when you get Wong down on 3 because you worked for it via, Zabu, Psylocke, whatever it may be, that feels incredibly good. Kind of like the Iron Man piece, where you had to work to get that benefit early, but if you do, it's really, really good then at that point. Wong's a very, really good call.
Yes. Yeah. Those are my 2.
All right, so definitely. I had Sarah too, right? Because I think Sarah, I always said that Sarah is the best card out there. But of course, I got to say Infinite and Sage, but I'm not going to say that. I'm just joking. Infinite would be a better card. He's not the best card in the game. Sage is great, but
I would have accepted Infinite though. I think that's appropriately costed, powered, and the disadvantage.
No, it's not. Definitely not.
You don't feel that way, but I do. Me and Guess feel that way.
You should be 22, but either way. My 2 cards I want to go with. Number 1 is going to be Daredevil. Daredevil's a 2/2, and he gives you so much information on turn 5. You can play Daredevil any turn, 2, 3, 4, and you'll be able to see what your opponent is doing on that 5th turn. So I think for what he does, I think he's a perfect cost and a perfect power, because he gives you that ability into that crucial turn 5 play to see what your opponent is doing. So I think, to me, Daredevil is a card that should be played more, but clearly is not. But I think it is a perfect card. But my number 1 perfect card of all will be Wave. Wave is a 3/5. That's a perfect, great stat. It is in the middle of the spectrum when you go 3 costs, and has 5 power. And the ability to allow you to turn all your cards to a 4 cost, all your high cost to a 4 cost, is great, because now you get to get a card out early. And of course, it isn't used to a point where you can continue doing it, unless, of course, you hit it with Grandmaster or whatever the case is. But nonetheless, I think it is a perfect card with the 3 costs right in the middle, and of course with the 5 power and that awesome ability of allowing you to get your high expensive cards out early. So those are my 2 cards, Wave being the top. I think Daredevil needs to get some love in that category too, being a 2/2 and allowing you to see what your turn 5 players of your opponent.
Okay.
Wave went on a journey to get there.
Oh yeah, for sure. He thinks she could have done. He thinks she used to do.
Oh, the good old OG Death Wave.
Death Wave. Yeah, there we go. Yeah,
best thing ever.
Miss Death Wave.
Sarah was a 5/5 too, right? Coming out. Sarah had some high power in the initial days.
Yeah, she was a 5/5. Yeah, in the good old days. But again, she's balanced. Perfect.
Right.
Perfect. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
It's an interesting thought looking at the cards that way, like trying to say like, okay, Wave, is it? Well, it's hitting both sides. So yeah, that's fair. So it's good power. So yes, it benefits you, but it also could benefit your opponent. So the risk is worth the 5 power increase. Like the cards justify themselves very, very easily. You can make arguments like Sage, for example, the one you said, a lot of people make an argument of saying that she needs to be 4 cost. because she's incredibly cracked at 3 costs. She's incredibly strong. I would not be surprised to see that happen someday because she is a very strong card. And the fact that I can say just that much alone means she's not perfect. She's unstable. She's unstable. Correct. There's risk of nerf. Yeah, her power output is just nuts, to say the least. Like, I don't want them to change what she does. Like, I would hate a Sage that was like a 3/3 that adds +1 for every different cost. Like, if they went down, kind of like what they did with Angela, like going down that route. If they do it with Sage, it ruins the card. But there's still debate out there. You know, that's what I mean about this kind of conversation. And I'm curious to see what the community thinks about it too, because we've said some good suggestions, but I want to see what they define as a perfect card, because it took me a while to sift through them when I was thinking about it earlier. I'm like,
it's definitely a brain teaser. Yeah,
it's tough. It's good tough. But it's tough.
Yeah, it's a good brain teaser.
But we're on the same boat. I think Sarah for sure is the perfect card, and Iron Man, right? Yeah. Like we're all in that same boat. I mean, that's how I see it. I mean, I'm Daredevil I picked, but I even think Kang at some point can be considered a great card too. The fact that he could restart a whole turn, but I think they need to do something with that card. It's not perfect by any means, but in a tournament setting, Kang and Daredevil, I think, are 2 cards that would be perfect in a tournament setting. Not to say people are running it this weekend.
Good to know that he's running it this weekend. All right. He's leaked his deck, ladies and gentlemen.
Perfect.
He just sniped himself. Thanks for listening.
Yes. He just told you guys his secret card. All righty. There we go.
The Daredevil and the Wonderful.
Yes, let's go.
On turn 5, we could just restart that turn. Thank you very much.
All right, we know how Kang works. We know how Kang works. Thank you.
Kang Daredevil. All the way to top 32.
I hate you.
All right,
guys, that was great. See you next week.
Later, guys.
Bye, y'all.
Kang all day, every day.